don't make the same gear mistake that I did. Hey filmmakers, Christian Fox here with another video for you. Today, I want to talk about the biggest lesson I've learned around gear and share my lesson through a story about me buying an iFootage slider. Before I got married a couple years ago, and before I realized just how expensive a wedding actually was, I would spend a lot of my disposable income on film gear. I would spend time scrolling through Amazon and seeing what was new, and I would of course go on YouTube and watch my favorite people like Tom Buck and Geraldine Dunn review cool looking gear. And it was one of these sessions where I came across the iFootage slider, and Tom Buck said it was amazing, Geraldine Dunn said it was amazing, and I was like, you know what, I actually would love to have a slider. There's some cool things I could do. It could maybe enhance some of my talking head videos. I could use it for product reviews. It will be great. And so I took the plunge and spent over $1,000 on an iFootage slider. And I eagerly waited for it to arrive. And finally it arrived. I opened it up and I put it together and I started using it, and instantly I was blown away. I was like, man, this is really cool. This works really well, is easy to use, and I'm getting some great footage. This is going to be perfect. And that was well and good, and that was true for quite a while, and I would use it on and off. But it really turned out that it really wasn't necessary, because there's actually two big problems that I had. Well, the first problem was that there wasn't actually many times where I needed a slider. A lot of the videos I was doing and still do today are talking head videos like this one. And a talking head video can be interesting with a slider, and yeah, it might be interesting to have a slightly different shot or maybe some movement, but overall it just wasn't necessary. There were a couple of times where I really did need to use a slider, like when I had to film shots of my desk for a project, but for the most part, it really wasn't useful, and I wasn't taking it out every day. Not the same way I use my microphone or use my Rodecaster Pro or use my whichever you call it, the thing that's in front of me, the camera, this Sony a7 IV. It's not like I was using my slider all the time, and really, I was barely taking it out. The second problem was the time that it took to set up. Now, the iFootage slider is great because it's so compact and it really is easy to set up. It doesn't take a long time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, maybe even faster if you have a crew working with you or you're really good at what you're doing. But for the most part, it took some time to set up. And when I was working at my old job, I was doing a video podcast about leadership, and I hosted it, I produced it, and I did all the editing and all that stuff. So I basically did the show myself, not because the team that I was with wasn't good and they did help me when they could, but I was the audio visual guy. I was the person with that expertise. So I always had to set everything up. And that meant I had to set up the cameras, I had to set up the lights, I had to set up the microphones, I had to make sure the chairs and the table were in the right position in the room to get the best angle and to make it look interesting. And so I set that all up, and I had to do that before the guests arrived. Usually I'd come in the morning around 9 o'clock and our guests would show up around 10:30 or 11. So that would give me a lot of time. But, you know, doing this podcast wasn't my only job. I had other responsibilities I had to do in the morning as well. So it meant that when I got to work, I really had to be efficient and set everything up as quickly as possible. I don't know why I'm snapping, but it just feels fun to snap when you talk about how you're having to be quick and effective. So I had to make sure I got all of that done. And again, the slider wasn't too complicated. It only took maybe an extra 5 or 10 minutes to get it going. But that 5 or extra 10 minutes was a lot of time that I could use to get everything else done. I could do an audio check. I could make sure all my memory cards are working. I did that all anyways, but not having to worry about the slider made everything go so much faster. And maybe if I had a bigger team that was working with me, I'd use the slider. But when it was just me doing it, it didn't feel like it was useful and wasn't worth the extra time that it would take to actually get it set up. It turned out that with it not being so useful in the video podcast, not being so useful with my own content, and the amount that I paid for it, which was again over $1,000, meant ultimately that it just really wasn't worth it. Hey, it's Future Me here. Just want to clarify a couple of things. One, I actually really like this device. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's very good. I just didn't really need it in my workflow at the time. I might use it more in the future, hopefully for future videos. We'll see. but I'm just basically saying that if you don't need a slider, don't spend your money on it. And at the time I bought this, I actually really didn't need it. Two, I keep calling this the iFootage slider in the video, which is, I guess, sort of true, but technically this is called the Shark Slider Nano, not iFootage slider.
We would love to see that. Wouldn't we love to see that? His name is Lee, goddammit. Lee, we would love to see that.
So this is all to say that if you see people talking about a cool piece of gear that looks interesting, people like Tom Book or Gerald Undone, you don't necessarily need to get it. Stop and think about the product that they're recommending. Is it something that you want just because it looks cool and you think, oh, it's going to allow me to do these crazy shots or allow me to do this really amazing thing I haven't been able to do before? Or does it specifically solve a problem that you have been experiencing yourself? Like in my case, if I'm going out to shoots all the time and there's like every single week I'm in a shoot where I wish I had a slider and then I have to spend 20 minutes doing something else to create the look of a slider without actually having one, then yeah, a slider might be useful. For where I am right now and for what I'm doing, a slider is not useful. So if the piece of equipment is not solving a problem that you're having, save your money and spend it on the essentials. Spend it on things like audio, spend it on video, spend it on lighting, spend it on something like that. Heck, maybe even spend it on a fancy piece of video editing software because you want to upgrade. So save your money and just buy things based on what you actually need. But what about you? Are there things you want to buy but you're not sure about? Or is there something that you purchased and you're just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I wasted so much money on that? Let me know in the comments below. And before you go, if you are looking for an exciting piece of video editing software to spice up your life, then check out my video on DaVinci Resolve. Until then, happy creating.